How well is the RTX 4070 Super holding up at 1440p resolution in the latest games as we enter 2025? Let's find out. To test this, I paired the MSI Ventus 2X 4070 Super with the Ryzen 7 9800X3D as part of the Be Quiet PC build powered by MSI. If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon at the links in the description below. Let's start with a game that I've been playing a lot lately. This is Path of Exile 2. We are at native 1440p using DLAA and all the graphics settings are maxed out. The game runs very well, even at native 1440p resolution. We are experiencing above 60 FPS. Check this out. Quite nice. This is already a pleasant experience, but we can make it even better if we enable DLSS resolution upscaling. Let's set it to quality mode. And that gives us a lot of additional performance. Take a look at that. This is a high refresh rate experience at this point. Well above 120, even when we encounter huge groups of enemies. Let's see if we can find one. If we can gather one here. Yes. We're still getting above 120 FPS, 118, 107. Okay, so there are some dips below 120 from time to time. So it's not quite consistent 120, but it's close. 1% lows are at 87, 89 FPS, and they're climbing higher as we move around the area. Needless to say, this is a pleasant experience. What else could we wish for? Yeah, maybe to get a consistent 120 FPS experience. Yeah, we can just use DLSS balanced to achieve that. That way FPS climbed to 160. Let's see what happens when we enter combat. There we go. Let's cast some magics. 130 FPS. I think that this is it. The consistent 120 plus FPS experience we've been looking for. Next up is STALKER 2. We are at native 1440p, field of view is at 100, and let's use the highest graphics quality preset, Epic. The only thing I'll change is depth of field. Let's set it to low to reduce any blurriness that it causes. We want to see a crisp image after all. We are not using any upscaling or frame generation for now, so let's turn that off, and we'll be using DLAA. Everything else is set to Epic. We're getting close to 60 FPS, 57, 58, 60, 55. So it's not quite a consistent 60 plus FPS that I'm looking for, but the fact that we are seeing well above 50 FPS at native resolution means that we can get to 60 plus if we use resolution upscaling. DLSS set to quality looks very nice at 1440p, so let's go ahead and enable that to improve performance. We're at 80 plus FPS now. Nice. Yeah, sometimes it drops to high 70s, but overall this is a pleasant experience. And because we have that choppy frame rate, it feels kind of like we are at 60 FPS instead of 80, but the gameplay is okay. I mean, as I pan the camera rapidly, it feels fine. So you may think that because that frame time is so spiky that the experience is bad. And yeah, it's not perfect, but it is pleasant. It's not annoying. I think we can improve that situation even further by introducing DLSS frame generation into the mix. Now we're getting above 100 FPS, sometimes above 120. This is a proper high-end experience right here. Yeah. And the frame rate feels nicer. The overall image presented on the screen is smoother. This game plays better with frame generation enabled. the frame rate feels much smoother, more pleasant. Of course, we can improve performance by lowering the graphics quality just by one level from epic down to high. And we are back at native resolution using NVIDIA DLAA, no frame generation, everything else is on high. This way we can experience 60 plus FPS at native 1440p resolution. And it does look great, and it plays well. Although I don't see any reasons not to use DLSS resolution upscaling at 1440p. If you set it to quality, it looks very nice indeed, and we'll get more FPS out of it. But if you're into native resolution, then this is the way to go. Using high graphics quality preset will allow you to achieve this. But I want to see as much FPS as possible on my screen. That's why I'm going to use DLSS set to quality. Ah, yes, very nice. Haha, we're reaching into 90 FPS territory. Sometimes drops to around 88, 85. Briefly, it's a fluid experience. But again, that frame rate is spiky. Yeah, right. We know by now how to fix that. We have to use DLSS frame generation. That way we're getting above 120 FPS, reaching 130 at certain points, with dips to around 119. And the gameplay feels much smoother, even when I pan the camera rapidly. Yeah, the image looks great. This is a great experience, very fluid, enjoyable. Even in a GPU-demanding game such as STALKER 2, it is possible to achieve a high refresh rate experience using the 4070 Super, of course with help of DLSS and frame generation. But why not? In terms of image quality, the game looks nice, DLSS works great, it doesn't introduce any distracting visual artifacts. Yeah, I've been playing this game with frame generation enabled, and it works well. I had a good time playing it for hours and hours. If you haven't tried it yet, I highly recommend it. And yeah, I'm talking about the game as well as NVIDIA's DLSS. Lastly, let's take a look at the latest Indiana Jones game. And we weren't able to use NVIDIA's full ray tracing feature at 4K resolution in this game because there is not enough video memory. This card has just 12 gigabytes of memory, and that's not enough for full ray tracing experience, which requires extra VRAM to run, as well as the GPU power, of course. But I think we might be able to make it work at 1440p, and we'll take a look at that in just a little bit. First, let's check out true native experience using NVIDIA DLAA, no frame generation enabled, and we can actually use a higher graphics quality preset. Let's set it to Very Ultra. Indeed, Very Ultra quality preset works at 1440p using 12 gigabytes of memory. This game is VRAM heavy. It likes video memory, but as you can see, it's fine. We're using 10.7 gigabytes right now, and we're getting above 90 FPS. So potentially, we could cap FPS at 90 and enjoy the game like that. I remind you that this is one of the most GPU-demanding levels in the game. The jungle, with a lot of trees, foliage, plants. Yeah, it is not easy to run for the GPU. As you've seen just then, we've experienced 80 plus FPS, 88 over here. And this is a great experience. Flat frame rate graph, that's what we want to see. Very nice indeed. We can use NVIDIA's DLSS resolution upscaling to boost our performance even further. Let's select DLSS quality. This way our FPS has been boosted well above 100. Very nice. Let's see. Over here, 120, 125. Yeah, great experience. And DLSS quality looks nice on the 1440p screen. If you have a 27-inch screen, then this is perfect. Now let's try to get that full ray tracing to work. To do that, we need some extra VRAM. That's why I think we should lower the texture pool size to ultra to free some VRAM up. And let's select full ray tracing medium preset. We're going to keep DLSS on quality. Oof, we are really close to running out of memory. 11.3 gigabytes right now. That's what is being utilized. And the FPS is at 60 plus still. Although, once again, I must remind you that we are having quite a lot of noise when using full ray tracing in this particular scene. Yeah, I don't like how full ray tracing looks here in the jungle section of the game. It looks nice in other sections of the game, but this one sucks. I actually turned it off when I was playing through this area. Yeah, it doesn't look nice. It's just way too distracting. There's just way too much noise introduced into all of these shadows in the tree canopies. There's just little white dots dancing around. Not nice. Yet in other levels, ray tracing works quite well. Take a look at this. Inside of the museum, 120 plus FPS reaching to above 130 from time to time. And it makes a huge difference in this particular scene because the shadows look nicer than what we have with just basic ray tracing that is enabled by default in this game and cannot be turned off. And we're using 10.8 gigabytes of memory, so we do have a little bit extra left in the tank. So let's try and increase that ray tracing quality even further. Let's select high. Things look even better, and we're still getting quite a respectable 90 plus FPS experience. 10.7 gigabytes of memory used. Pretty good. I think we can increase that ray tracing quality even further. Let's select full ray tracing. This is the best quality ray tracing you can experience with all the reflections and global illumination as well as rays enabled. And we're still getting 70 plus FPS in this area. Very nice indeed. And the memory we're using is, well, it's close to 11 gigabytes. And I'm just wondering, will we still be able to run this preset if we move to another location? Because I know that jungle is way more VRAM demanding. And yes, indeed, we are at 11.6 gigabytes right now. And I think that we don't have enough VRAM because the FPS doesn't look as hot as it used to. 41 FPS, yeah. We are clearly running out of memory, but ray tracing doesn't work as nice in this particular level. As I mentioned, there's a lot of noise in the canopies of the trees, as well as the shadows, yeah. So I wouldn't want to use this in this level anyway. Hopefully the game developers will fix it, but 12 gigabytes of VRAM will not allow us to enjoy it anyway. It is great to see that the 4070 Super is still going strong at 1440p resolution. As we enter 2025, we were still able to achieve a pleasant experience in pretty much every game we've tested so far. Even the GPU-demanding Stalker 2 works perfectly fine on the 4070 Super. The only thing that we couldn't achieve is full ray tracing experience in Indiana Jones, because this game it requires a lot of extra video memory, so 12 gigabytes of memory is not enough to experience ray tracing in a game like this. and I'm pretty sure that we'll see more games like it in 2025. Overall, this is a great experience. I highly recommend the 4070 Super. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this setup? And don't forget to reward my work with a like if you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon at the links in the description below. It was I, Vadim. Until next time.